And indifferent.
Here we go. Ball, 0.6 seconds. Oh, he got it. Ball for three. No, Ball gets his own rebound. Back up with it, and one.
Oh my goodness, score the basket. LiAngelo Ball.
Riller, cross court, Ball, rising fire.
Why not? Why not? You're going crazy for LiAngelo here in Vegas.
LaMelo Ball was the 2021 NBA Rookie of the Year. Last year, he became an All-Star. Lonzo Ball had a shakier start to his NBA career, but before an injury sidelined him last season, had emerged as one of the league's best defensive players, as well as a dangerous secondary scorer. Yet neither of them set the all-time record for most points in a game in the history of California high school basketball. That distinction goes to LiAngelo Ball, the family's middle brother. He poured in 72 points, 39 of which came from the 13 three-point shots that he made. And on Tuesday, LiAngelo played in his first actual game on an NBA team.
I'm just playing my hardest every time I come out here. And I'm not really worried about how much I score or who I'm playing. I just try to give it my all every time I hit the court.
Years after, not just his older brother, but his younger one also established themselves in the league. After 4 minutes of garbage time in the Charlotte Hornets preseason opener, he had grabbed 1 rebound, missed 3 three-pointers, and recorded a negative 12-point differential. LiAngelo has had a long, strange road to the periphery of the NBA, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a smooth one going forward. But it might not end here. So join us as we take a look at how he got to this point and whether he'll be able to continue his professional career at the highest level. High-flying beginnings. That 72-point outing was not LiAngelo's only exceptional game in high school. In fact, even when playing with his brothers, he was the star of their Chino Hills high school team. He'd score over 50 by the end of his sophomore season. As a junior and senior, he improved further, averaging 27 points and then 33. In those years, his teams went 35-0 and then 33-3. He had multiple 50-point games and 2 60-point outings in addition to his high school career high. He was named first-team All-State as a senior and an honorable mention All-American. Despite his accolades and his gaudy numbers, LiAngelo was not seen as an irresistible prospect going into college. He had filled up the stat sheet, but he'd done it against low-level competition. He was an accurate shooter, but at the collegiate level, he didn't have the size or athleticism that made his brothers such top prospects. Nonetheless, he was a 3-star recruit, and as he'd agreed to in advance, he joined the UCLA Bruins. As a freshman, he projected as a reserve for the team, but a productive one. He dropped 11 points off the bench in his first game for the Bruins, his first and last. On November 7, 2017, while the Bruins were in China to play their season opener, LiAngelo and 2 of his freshman teammates were arrested for allegedly shoplifting sunglasses from a Hangzhou retailer. They faced a fine and up to 3 years imprisonment. After a tense 7 days, the charges were ultimately withdrawn. Ball and his teammates returned to the U.S. Although they avoided jail time in China, the 3 were suspended from the team for at least the rest of the year.
LiAngelo was one of 3 UCLA freshmen accused of shoplifting. A week later, Chinese authorities dropped the charges and the players returned to the U.S. after President Trump spoke with China's president.
Ball might have served out his suspension along with his teammates if not for the intervention of his father, LeVar. LeVar Ball was frustrated with the length of his son's suspension and encouraged him to withdraw from the school. Instead, LiAngelo, along with LaMelo, signed to an overseas professional team. They joined PRESEASON, a struggling club in the Lithuanian Basketball League that LeVar had sponsored through his Big Baller brand sports apparel company. Although the team withdrew from normal Baltic League play to participate in a series of exhibition games sponsored by Big Baller brand, the young Ball brothers failed to break out as stars. Frustrated with their lack of playing time, LeVar withdrew them and his support from the team. In future years, LaMelo would enjoy far more overseas success, playing so well in Australia's highly competitive professional league that he eventually became the 3rd overall draft pick in the 2021 NBA draft. But that stint with PRESEASON has, to this point, been the end of LiAngelo's play outside of the U.S. LiAngelo declared his eligibility for the 2018 NBA draft. Scouts didn't expect him to be selected.
You declare for NBA draft this year. What are your hopes? What are your expectations for this upcoming NBA draft?
Well, I'm just going to be excited to play on any NBA team, really. I mean, whoever picks me up, I'm going to play my hardest for them and try to bring wins to the team.
60 players had their names called that night, but Ball wasn't one of them. Instead, he once again joined LaMelo in a venture of their father's. LeVar Ball founded the Junior Basketball Association as a professional alternative to college basketball. That's an idea that seems to be gaining some traction nowadays as young players seek a chance to get paid for their play in the US as they are overseas. Organizations like Overtime Elite and the NBA's own G League Ignite represent more recent attempts at the same concept. The JBA, however, only lasted for a single season. Afterwards, critics accused LeVar of founding the league just to showcase his son's talents, abandoning it, and the other young players who signed with it, after LiAngelo and LaMelo both left for greener pastures. But regardless, LiAngelo was able to regain some of his high school success in the league. He had a season high of 58, tied it in a championship game, and won both the league's Finals MVP and All-Star Game MVP awards. LiAngelo was not able to translate those successes into an NBA career, but that wasn't necessarily his fault, or his father's. He missed Summer League with an ankle injury, which lost him his best chance to garner immediate attention. So when he recovered, he signed with the G League's Oklahoma City Blue. He didn't play in the season opener, and the rest of the G League season was shut down due to pandemic fears. LiAngelo remained on the periphery of the NBA. A year later, he was signed to a training camp contract by the Pistons, but didn't make the team's preseason roster. It looked like he might be done with professional basketball. The next summer, however, he got another chance. LaMelo had just won Rookie of the Year with the Charlotte Hornets. The team allowed each player to invite one workout partner over the summer, and LaMelo chose his brother. During this time with the Hornets that year, LiAngelo played well enough for the team to sign him to their Summer League roster. He started off strong, nailing 5 threes in the summer opener. Defense has adjusted and his shot cooled off though, and he ultimately averaged just less than 10 points per game on inefficient shooting. That was enough to get him a brief contract with the Hornets, but he was waived before the start of the preseason. Instead, he entered the 2021 NBA G League draft and was selected by the Greensboro Swarm, the Hornets affiliate. He played limited minutes for the Swarm. James Bouknight was the team's star and played the same position. So when Ball did take the court, he showed his weaknesses as he contributed just 2 rebounds and less than an assist, steal, or block per game. But he also showed off his greatest strength: shooting. He was an absolutely lethal sharpshooter, hitting almost 54% of his shots from 3 and over 62% overall. It was a small sample size, but a tantalizing one, especially for a player who showed his ability to get sizzlingly hot from a distance when he was younger. Perhaps that's why this season LiAngelo once again finds himself as a possible backup for Bouknight, now playing alongside LaMelo on the NBA's Hornets. Tuesday's preseason opener didn't exactly cover LiAngelo in glory, but it didn't do so for most of the Hornets. Bouknight shot 1 for 9, starter Terry Rozier was 4 for 13, even LaMelo hit only 5 of his 19 field goal attempts and had almost as many turnovers, 3, as assists, 4. And that's what happens to teams who run into the defensive buzzsaw of the Eastern Conference champion Boston Celtics. Now make no mistake, LiAngelo is competing with players who have had a lot more professional success than he has, and there's no guarantee he'll remain with the Hornets when the roster tightens up for the regular season. Before then, he's likely to get at least a few more chances to show what he can do for Charlotte. Maybe he will, as he did in his first game, go scoreless, but he might just recapture at least a little of that 72-point magic. Have you followed the wild ups and downs of LiAngelo's career? Do you think he has what it takes to crack an NBA rotation this year with Charlotte or somewhere else in the future? Would you want your team to take a chance on him? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're down there, be sure to click that like button, click that subscribe button, and ring that bell to be notified of all the latest hoop scoops.